can't stop thinking about the stoves in Trails in the Sky. This seemingly innocuous piece of technology is ever present in the houses and homes of this game. Warming up houses, cooking food. May we not consider the simple stove to be the cradle of civilization itself? And now it has led me to this feeling of existential dread as I wonder about the imminent collapse of our society at large. So, hello again, and let's go on this journey together on the politics of stoves in Trails in the Sky. Alright, so you might have heard about this game already. It's the first entry in a series of role-playing games that is best known for being set in the same world with an overarching storyline spanning across multiple games. I really like these games. I think they're very charming and fun, so on a whim I recently decided to replay the first one and had a really good time. But one scene in particular struck me. So just to give some context if you haven't played this game. In Trails in the Sky you play as Estelle and Joshua, two adoptive siblings who are trying to become bracers, basically adventurers for hire. Throughout the game you travel around the country on foot to learn the lay of the land and earn the qualifications required to become a full bracer. So you're on the road from one major city to another and you've stopped by this rugged mountain outpost to spend the night. The station guards are happy to lend you a room, and what follows is this exchange between the two main characters where they talk about how wood stoves just feel much more cozy than modern ones. While new stoves might be efficient, they just can't compare with the feel of a real wood-burning stove. I've never paid much attention to this scene specifically. It's kinda inconsequential in the broader story. The game is set during an industrial revolution and the impact of technological progress is a central motif. In one city, the old harbor is being displaced by tourism and a new service industry. In a rural village, the older farmers are disgruntled by the introduction of new farming machines. So in this context, a piece of inconsequential dialogue about the properties of new stove technology seems fine. But with the benefit of knowing the full story, this exchange becomes suspect. So spoiler warning if you haven't played this game before. I won't spoil the actual plot of the game, but if you don't want the backstory and lore revealed, then go ahead and play the game first. It's really good. Alright, so in the next game it is revealed that the downfall of the ancient precursor civilization was brought on by their extremely advanced tech. I know, surprise surprise. These ancestors lived in a post-scarcity society where the material and social needs of every citizen was provided for by a nigh omnipotent AI. Since the dreams and desires of citizens would be fulfilled by this external force, it eventually led to a spiritual decline. We are told that the AI, quote, facilitated the creation of virtual realities intended to induce euphoria in participants. It even altered brain chemistry to achieve this. It was no different than taking a powerful euphoric stimulant and hallucinogen at the same time. Worse still, there were no side effects. No physical ones at least. End quote. This in turn led to bizarre crimes, rampant suicide and dropping birth rates? Ah no, not the birth rates. Alright, so this seems like a typical technology has gone too far narrative. A natural extension of the motifs in the game. But usually those kinds of stories are about hubris, societies reaching too far into the sky and getting struck down for their arrogance. But the sin of the ancients in Trails in the Sky was that they became too indulgent, too reliant on an external force to provide for them. And I know that a lot of this is kind of stock storytelling, but what is the actual message here? The citizens of the ancient society is not portrayed as megalomaniac, but as victims of factors outside of their control. They were enslaved not by a tyrant or an evil overlord, but of a system that wanted to, well, save them. To me at least, this seems like a clear allegory for the kind of criticisms you hear from conservatives against social welfare programs. Governments taking care of people's basic needs is actually doing them a disservice, as it just leads to passivity and dependence, instead of facilitating strong, resourceful citizens who can take care of themselves without government aid. And here the stove dialogue actually makes it clear to me what the intended message of the game is. It's about authenticity. The protagonists cheerfully agree that the old stoves, while inefficient, simply feel more real than the newer ones. There's no argument here on the basis of material circumstances or the impact on society as a whole, but only an appeal to the emotional and spiritual effect on the individual. Despite its conveniences, its potential to better the human condition, new tech is inauthentic. It might make you more prosperous as a society, but at the cost of the experiences that mold people into people. This is exemplified by the protagonist eschewing the use of modern travel conveniences, for example airships, and instead walk the roads as part of their training. And this makes a certain amount of sense in regard to how tech distances us from our surroundings. But in the end, this is in the service of the big takeaway that using technologies to support people's basic needs is a slippery slope. That using a tractor makes us less authentic despite being able to feed more people. That implementing policies that address people's basic needs somehow eventually leads to the creation of the fucking torment nexus. The failing of the new age is not the sacrifices of progress, how we, despite our technological advancements, still just treat people like shit. No, it's simply this abstract loss of the real that is the problem. According to the fiction of this game, even if an omnipotent god machine could literally grant your every wish and desire, it still wouldn't make you happy because none of it was earned. Apparently no one in this ancient society said, "Party on, dudes!" instead of taking the super drugs, because having your needs taken care of somehow makes you weak-spirited and lacking ambition. I don't want to say this really, but the more I think about it, the more this entire thing comes off as reactionary. We could literally live in an utopian paradise and cranks would apparently still complain about birth rates. So as much as I like the story, I think it fails on a fundamental level. The precursors are obviously meant to serve as a cautionary tale, but the game hasn't actually convinced me of what they did wrong. I think the cherry on top of all of this is that while the ancient society was a democracy, the country that formed after the big AI was sealed away became a monarchy. In fact, the people who did the sealing went on to become the royal family in the new feudal society they established after this downfall. They even acknowledged that what they did went against the democratic ideals of their society, and that the majority didn't approve of their actions. And that's kind of where I wanted to leave this whole line of thinking, but the more I wonder about the themes in this game, the less I think it's as simple as that. Currently we're living in a time where new generative AI technologies are running rampant through our societies. ChatGPT and other large language models have become extremely prevalent among students on all levels. Art made by artists is getting buried under waves of generated slop, and a shocking number of people have begun to rely on these chat services to ask for personal advice. You can't even opt out of this technology since every big corporation seems determined to force feed it to you. Even if we disregard the efficiency of this or lack thereof, I think the fundamental question is whether or not this is a society we want to live in. The ancient AI in Trails in the Sky was capable of producing miracles, and while ChatGPT certainly isn't capable of that, even if it was, would it change anything? Even if it could solve all our problems, wouldn't we still want to educate ourselves, make our own art, talk with each other about personal issues, and so on? Maybe Estelle and Joshua are right. The feelings of the new tools matter beyond their efficiency. We shouldn't just adopt new tech if it compromises our way of life. But where do you draw the line with that? Because I don't think it's valid to employ the same kind of logic on a tractor or a stove. So this is why I can't stop thinking about the politics of stoves in this anime game from 20 years ago.